Hi. Today I'm going to discuss my apparently very unpopular opinion, wildly unpopular opinion surrounding the Luigi Mangione. I don't know if I'm saying the name right, but surrounding that whole thing with the guy that, if you're not aware, this guy Luigi Mangione like stalked and killed the United Healthcare CEO. If you pay attention to it at all to news, I imagine you might have heard about it. Truth Snake here is going to help me as I talk about what my opinion is, as well as just my thoughts on the situation. I'd like to explore the logical reasons behind his actions while also emphasizing why violence is not really ever the answer, which is my opinion. That is apparently controversial. Though I don't believe what he did was right, I do understand the motivation behind it. You know, the idea that our healthcare system is driven by corporate greed more than actually caring for people. That's obviously very wrong. My uncle actually passed away years back. He was a Vietnam vet, and because of his exposure to Agent Orange, there was definitely a connection there to him having lung cancer. And when he was trying to get treatment for that, it seemed like a very, very unfair process, and he was going through a lot. We unfortunately lost him, and so I'm not unsensitive to the fact that our healthcare system is not working properly, to the point where I've lost family. So I do understand the motive behind it. They apparently have published some of his manifesto, so I wanted to read that just for context in this video. To the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial, some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, and a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. But I do apologize for any strife or of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the US has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly 42 in life expectancy. United, talking about healthcare, is the indecipherable largest company in the US by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, Walmart, and it has grown and grown, but has our life expectancy? No, the reality is these indecipherable have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have the space, and frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument. But many have illuminated the corruption and greed, examples Rosenthal and more, decades ago, and the problems simply remain. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I am the first to face it with such brutal honesty. So again, I totally can sympathize with the motive there, and losing a loved one because an insurance company is denying. And I mean, in my own trips to the hospital and just dealing with like how that can be, I've had a hospital treat me like a convict when I was just a patient, and then actually try to rip me off for tons of money. It's definitely not right. That's not right at all. And I do understand there's been lots of attempts at maybe some kind of healthcare reform. It seems to be very complicated, as Luigi highlighted in his manifesto there. I agree, or I can relate to that, because I definitely don't understand all of it. I know it's probably more complex than maybe any even single person can truly understand. But it's definitely not right the way that the companies run, that they're driven by profit and not actually caring for people who need care. That is very, very wrong. So I can definitely recognize that many people probably feel powerless and unheard in the face of large corporations. And it's got to be like super frustrating, like extremely frustrating, when people are pushed to an emotional spot and mental limits of like that type of anguish. And, people can resort to drastic actions. That's a thing. And then just the fact that there's seeming to be such a lack of accountability with large organizations, all these different companies that can get away with skirting the law or even breaking the law and then still get away with it just because they're such a large company and nobody actually is held accountable. And because those companies are so, uh, seemingly above the law, I have empathy for the situation that Luigi was in. Also, empathy for the person who was shot in the street. Future Brian here. We've obviously had a temperature shift. A couple things I didn't mention when I was recording this video that I wanted to make clear are that, well, I just found out that United Healthcare CEO actually has children and wasn't necessarily making all of the decisions the way things happen. He's just a cog in a wheel of a giant machine type of thing. It's not just that like he was solely responsible for some of the issues. Second thing is, I'm not trying to establish some kind of moral high ground with this video for myself. I mean, if something happened to one of my family members, somebody harmed one of my family members in some way, like if something happened to one of my kids and somebody hurt one of my kids, I don't know that I would have, it would be only by the grace of God that I did not go out and probably commit murder myself on somebody who did something like that to my family. So I am not saying that I'm some moral superior being here who's like totally in full control of all of my emotions enough to where I wouldn't fall victim to doing something like that to somebody else if pushed to the limits. I'm just saying that I think I could be very capable of that, but that still wouldn't make it right. It would still be wrong of me or anybody to just go out in the street and shoot somebody because of circumstances, period. All that said, if the actions of a CEO or the actions of a company cause that type of harm, again, that's not right. But I don't believe that it actually gives you the right to commit harm against another person. I don't think that makes that right. And the two wrongs don't make a right. And it just perpetuates the cycle of violence. And I've just been blown away by all the posts on social media of people that are like glorifying the murder of another human being in the street. And I mean, there's a lot of me that is not surprised whatsoever. Like I understand people fairly well at this point, and how mob mentality can be such a horrific thing. And it's just wild to me though, still, like the amount of support, while understanding the motives, like the amount of support for just murdering people in the street. Like, I don't understand how that, the part I don't understand is how that seems to be such a wildly controversial opinion, to think that murdering people in the street is just wrong, no matter who it is. That's just not right. It's not right. I mean, there's so many more productive ways to channel anger and frustration. In that particular situation, the advocacy for healthcare reform, supporting organizations that are fighting for patient rights, sharing personal stories to raise more awareness. I think that the most successful way to achieve real social change or systemic change is something that takes collective action, not individual acts of violence. So that's kind of my take on it. And again, just kind of a little disheartened that it's such a minority seeming opinion. Maybe it's a very silent majority of people but just based on what's happened on the internet, it seems like it's a minority to think that this was wrong to shoot the guy in the street. So I understand that it's an emotional topic. You know, if anybody that's struggled with getting proper coverage for their healthcare, like I understand, I get that. But I just want to reinforce my key message is that it's okay to feel anger toward injustice, but that violence is never the answer. So I guess leave your opinions in the comments below. I'm a little terrified to go down there and read them, but I think I will anyway. And just encourage you all to, like, when things get tough, there's always a better answer than going out and killing somebody. There just is. That's not the world we should be living in. Even if it is, killing people is not the answer. That's my firm, strong opinion. And I'm holding to that. Thanks for watching. I know it's been a different video, but there's no snake shows around right now. And I I could have done some updates on snakes, but I really felt like this topic, I felt very strongly about this topic. So I really wanted to share my opinion here, seeming that nobody else has this opinion that I've seen posted on the internet anywhere, at least. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you on the next video. Aloha.